going on, people? Hope you're well. Welcome back to the show. We've got a race for the title to talk about and to bring on. There's only really one to bring on, really. Premsy, what are you saying, bruv?
No, good, bro. Big up to the chat. Big up to yourself. Thanks for having me on again. Hugh, big up yourself. It looks like your partner's ditched out today. Don't know where he's gone, but I'm sure he'll be back next week now. Big up, bro. It's good. It's good to be on.
Listen, Huey, it's good to see you, bro. I know Daps can't be with us, unfortunately, last minute. He's had to pull out, bless him. But he will be with us next time. How you doing, Hugh? You good, bruv?
I'm good, man. I'm even better than last time we spoke. I think things have changed, just as not too much, but the momentum is switching, so I'm feeling good. But yeah, listen, big up Daps, big up to you guys, big up to the chat. Make sure you're all smashing the like, subscribing to the channel, and we'll have another good show.
Thanks a lot, Hugh. Now, top man, and great for you to come on and talk. Let's start with City, right? Because, let's go back the different way. We'll go back to recently. I must admit, bro, I looked at you the other night and I thought you was incredible against Bayern Munich. Helped, by the way, by Upamecano and shocking defending. However, it was dominant in most of the game, and I didn't feel like there was any worries. But I wanted to talk to you about two players in particular that this season, for me, have taken City to a level that I didn't really see, particularly in these two players I'm about to mention. It's your left-hand side, man. Nathan Ake and Jack Grealish have been so good. Every time I've watched Man City, which I don't watch all your games, man, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, but I do watch a lot, obviously, particularly this season, for obvious reasons. And I have been so impressed. And I'll go as far to say as Nathan Ake has been one of your most consistent players, one of your better players. And it's a player that I didn't really expect to see, if I'm honest with you, at the start of the season. Obviously, the business with Cancelo and Zinchenko leaving, you bringing in another player. But he's been superb. And Jack Grealish has really come into his own, man. Must have been a pleasure for you to watch the other night, Hugh. I can't lie.
Yeah, that left-hand side of the pitch was an area that over the last 12 to 18 months, that if we had any little flaws, it was probably our left-hand side. We had no actual out-and-out left-back. Phil Foden and Jack Grealish kind of swapping over, sharing that sort of role. And then this season, it's just bursting to life. I mean, with Jack Grealish, first of all, I always backed him. Anybody who watches me for a long time now, I've always defended him till the core. I've always said he's going to come good. I appreciated the fact that to get into a Pep Guardiola team, it generally takes a year. Players like Haaland and Ruben Diaz sort of defy that logic. They come and they hit the ground running, and it's success from the off. But you look at the likes of Bernardo, Gundo, Mahrez, and now Jack Grealish, these kind of dynamic wingers, they usually take a year or so to adapt. So I was so confident with what I knew of Jack Grealish and what I'd seen last year that this was going to be a huge breakout year for him, and it has been. Now, listen, Nathan Ake, man, he's a special guy, a special player. He has had a really, really tough role in the squad. We bought him for 40 million. A lot of people say that's too much, man. You shouldn't be spending 40 million on Nathan Ake, relatively unproven at a high level, relegation bound with Bournemouth. We do it. He holds bench for a long time in his first year, doesn't get a huge amount of time. Cancelo leaves, sells Zinchenko, Chelsea had to buy Ake, and possibly the best bit of business we did last summer was holding on to Nathan Ake. Because I tell you now, for a fact, we are not as close to you right now at this stage of the season without Nathan Ake. I would go as far as to say as he has been our most consistent player this season. I genuinely can't think of one performance this season where I've walked away and said, Ake wasn't too good tonight. He was a bit dodgy. He's always solid. Lockdown Saka, Bayern Munich wingers, United wingers, Chelsea wingers, you name it. He's comfortable. Put him out in left back. He's now starting to go forward. He's worked on his progressive game, his intricate passing and his build-ups. A goal against you in the FA Cup, of course. And that complements Jack Grealish. Because Jack Grealish used to have Cancelo up his arse, trying to do the exact same thing as he was doing himself. But now Nathan Ake being a bit more of a traditional, if you like, left back, who he'll make the overlaps, but he holds defensive line a bit more. It lets Grealish flourish because he has the comfort of knowing there's a solid left back behind him. So it works, man. It really works. That left-hand side of the pitch is two names that are possibly first two in the team sheet, and they've been huge for us all season. Both of them extremely consistent.
Do you put it down, though, Hugh, like to Jack Grealish individually? Because it sounds like what you're saying there is that Nathan Ake has allowed him to flourish even more so. Do you think that Grealish deserves credit, of course, but do you think the pair of them have just complemented each other?
Yeah, I think purely for the fact that, listen, Nathan Ake, he's no world beater in terms of footballing ability and technical ability. He's not like a Zinchenko or a Cancelo where they'll get, they'll put in Trivela passes and big switches of play and they'll dictate midfield, that kind of thing. He genuinely is more of a traditional left back. He will move forward, but his fundamentals and his primary role that he feels he should be doing is sitting back. And he does sit back. He's now part of a back three. He's left-hand side of a back three, and John Stones now does that, sexy midfield sort of role, which no one else saw coming. But definitely, it means Jack Grealish has the comfort to be that more expressive, free-flowing Jack Grealish that a lot of people wanted to see again from Aston Villa. People said that we locked him down last year, put shackles on him. I think Nathan Ake behind him now has allowed him to run with the ball, take players on, because something switched in his brain. He's now no longer afraid to give away the ball because he's got so much trust in the guy behind him. Whereas Cancelo, defensively, I didn't think he was exceptional. I never did. I thought excellent going forward, but Grealish probably always had in the back of his mind that if I mess up here and lose the ball, we can't really trust Cancelo to cover my arse. So they complement each other massively. They massively complement each other. They don't get in each other's way. They're two different very styles of play, but they work, and it's been huge for us. Like I said, all season, the two of them, two of the most consistent players.
Yeah, that's fair. Prem's looking at two other players that I thought were scary and have been for most of the time that they've put on a Man City shirt. One of them at the front, one of them at the top, one of them at the back. I think there's a lot of good defenders in the Premier League that people have spoken about, particularly this season. Arsenal got two of them. Ruben Diaz is a monster, man. Like, he is so good. Like, a lot of people talk about Van Dijk and how good he's been over the years, and Rafael Varane of the years. I honestly believe in the last 2-3 years, this guy's been unreal, mate. Like, absolutely unreal. And since he's come back into the Man City side, the stats don't lie, man. They've been a lot better, in my opinion, anyway. And of course, Haaland. Like, the guy's a machine. He's a monster. It's scary. We're talking about potentially like 60 goals or something mad if this carries on this year. Like, and that's if City stay in all competitions, which I imagine they will do. Like, they've got two of the best. If you was to pick a world 11 right now, I think you'd probably put both of them in there. Prems, I can't even lie. Like,
Do you
they're
know
mad.
what? As well, I think you're bang on with Diaz. I think we've seen Pep finding around with his team earlier on in the season, midway through the season, and it just wasn't clicking to how Man City normally click over the last couple of years. I think Diaz is a big part of that defense. It allows the players in midfield to have a little bit more freedom, push forward because they know they've got a rock at the back as well. So I think Diaz is key to them. I think with Haaland as well, I think my man is just a machine. Look, City
Crazy.
have brought him in. They didn't pay mad money for him. They were smart with the business, got him in for what? How much did you pay for him here? 50, 60 million, something like that?
50, was it?
51.
Do you know what I mean? Cheap as chips in this day and age for a player like that. And the amount of goals he scored, he's hit the ground running. And that's the scary thing. Normally, when players come into the Premier League, especially forward positions, it can take them a year or so to get the feet on the ground and understand the league, understand the defenders in the league. But this guy, no, man, this guy's just a machine. He's putting in the goals. And he's not even just that as well, that assist as well that he put in for Bernardo Silva against Bayern. Unbelievable pick out. It just shows he's got the composure. And it's going to be scary, this guy being in the league for 5-6 years to come. Obviously, we don't know. Real Madrid might come knocking one day and he might end up going there. But for the time he's going to be at Man City, it is looking like curtains for a lot of people. But yeah, man, I think them two players definitely have improved the side. I think Jack Grealish, I think Huey pretty much summed it up perfectly as well. I think with Grealish, we normally see players come into the Pep team and like Huey said, they're normally on the bench for the first year. Second year is where they come out and they start flourishing. I think Jack Grealish's newfound confidence in the way he's playing football has galvanized the team as well. I think the FFP news coming out as well. I think since that's come out, Man City have transitioned into a different team, like a fuck it attitude, and they're just going for it now. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a difficult title race with Man City, but you got to give these guys credit. I don't think anyone predicted Bayern to go there and get spanked up like they did. They're making man punch people in the lips and that at the end of the game. This is what they're doing
What is
to
all that
people.
about, man?
It's crazy, man. You just got to take your hat off to City at the moment and think, look, they're playing well. It looks like it's the old City. It looks like they've got the understanding of Haaland now properly, and they're feeding him the ball when they need to feed him the ball. And not only that, Jack Grealish on one side, Mahrez, every time he comes in, he's looking brilliant. Bernardo Silva. I think the whole squad now are on job, and I think it's coming to the final end of this part of the season. And these players got to know how to get over the line and pick themselves up towards the end of the season. And you're seeing it, man. It's flourishing.
Yeah, Hugh, I think this is the best part of the season for where Man City normally come, and it looks like that's going to happen again at the moment. It looks like you're flying at the moment, bro. I can't even lie. Just want to get your thoughts on Haaland and the importance of Diaz, mate, because I think they're two key figures for you, mate. And rightly in the chat, Daniel's talk about Rodri. I mean, what a strike, by the way. But I do think as well, he's kind of gone under the radar this season because people have been so obsessed with Casemiro and Thomas Partey. But this guy's an absolute monster in the middle, Hugh, isn't he, as well?
Yeah, I think you're possibly insecure or childish if you're just constantly getting involved in that argument. Rodri, Casemiro, party, who's better? I don't even do that. I put one tweet up after he scored that banger of a goal the other night because I was just in the moment. I was like, holy shit, what a goal. But
Yeah, it was.
I wouldn't trade. You probably feel the same about Party. I wouldn't trade Rodri for either of the two. He's exactly what we need. Pep gives him a very specific task, a specific role, and he does that perfectly. He complements the other midfielders around them. But listen, with Ruben Diaz and Erling Haaland, they are the first two names in the team sheet when they're fit. And you said that it's the stage of the season where City usually click into gear, and I feel like Pep almost does this on purpose. He starts fucking around at the start of the season, trying mad things out. Rico Lewis as a midfielder and all these kind of things, and Bernardo Silva as a left back and whatnot. It's like he's trying these things out so that when we get to the back end of the season, he's ready. He knows what he wants. And with Ruben Diaz, he was injured for a long time in the middle of the season there. And then he was fit, but Pep wasn't picking him. And we're all saying, what are you doing, man? Ruben Diaz, we need that leadership. Bring him back in. Bring him back in. He's not bringing him back in. He's just sitting on the bench. And then bang, he comes back in. He starts every single game. It's like Pep's, we're going to wait those extra 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks of rest for Ruben Diaz so he can go full ham for the last 2 months of the season. And it's proved crucial. We haven't conceded more than one goal any game, any competition since the 19th of January. Our defense right now is practically impenetrable, genuinely. And you know the way with this current Arsenal team, I have huge admiration for this Arsenal team. I think what they've done and over-exceeded this season is exceptional. But you know the way at the start of the season when you were beating teams and your players were getting in huddles and after scoring a goal and they're all clapping each other and keeping themselves motivated, and everyone's slagging you off. Everyone's like, oh, what are you doing? That's cringe. Ruben Diaz did that for us the other night after we scored our second goal, I want to say, and I got goosebumps. I was like, I love this. This is what I want to see. We're 2-0 up in a Champions League game where this time last year we would have conceded a goal and made the second leg much more open. But Ruben gathers all the lads in, says, nah, we're not messing this up. We're keeping this. We're going for more and defensively stay solid to take a 3-0 to the Allianz. So he's huge. He galvanizes the whole team. Everyone plays better with Ruben Diaz. And Erling Haaland, man, how do I gas this guy up? How do I gas this guy up, man?
Is this guy actually going to go on and do like records and records and records? I've never seen anything like it. When you watch him, like I can't put my finger on it. I don't look at him and go, oh, it's beautiful, like technically gifted, beautiful football. I don't go like I did Aguero or Suarez or Van Persie and all these great names. He just scores. He just literally scores. He'll stand there and you'll think, is he? Oh, there it is, goal. And I think that this guy has literally got everything. It's mad for me, bro. I don't know what to say. I'm kind of running out of what else to say about this guy. He just scores goals. There's literally
he's efficient.
Like
he's very, very efficient in it. He hardly misses any chances. Quality guy, man.
He's a superstar, man. He's the king of Manchester right now. He's the king of England, and hopefully he'll be the king of Europe soon because he's absolutely tearing it up. He really, really is. And you're right. He's not one of these players that when he scores a goal, you're making mad noise. TV like, oh wow. It's more like an instant boom. He scored. Haaland has hit you. Haaland's attacked. And City fans, we just love him. I love going to the games, getting the train, walking the stadium, and we're all chatting like, how many is he going to get today? How many is he going to hit today? Is it going to be 2, 3, 4, 5?
I remember doing that with Thierry Henry, I remember doing that with Henry. He used to be like, oh, it's 0-0. We ain't scored yet. Bang, 1-0 Henry. Wow. It must be like that. I mean, it is a crazy feeling. The guy is unreal. And we're talking about potentially getting 60 goals in all competitions. Like that's like Messi, Ronaldo level.
If he hits his projected rate based off his current hit rate, he'll get 66 for the season in all competitions.
That's fucking mad.
I did a video on him today, lads. I did a video on him today on my own channel over on City Extra. I think it comes out tomorrow. And I looked up, it was about all the records he's broken this season. And you hear about the big ones, but I looked it up. There's a list the size of my forearm of every record this guy's broken. Fastest to 10 goals, most goal contribution, or first player to ever hit 5 goal contributions in a Manchester derby. Fastest player to ever hit 25 goals under Pep Guardiola. Messi couldn't do that. Fastest player to ever get 25 goals in the Champions League. We are genuinely talking about possibly the best striker of all time if he can sustain this kind of form.
I think it does help the team that he's in as well. I think obviously you got to think the team that he's walked into has been a team that's pretty much been together for the last 4 or 5 years, and they got an understanding of how to create chances and stuff like that. So I think that helps him. Don't get it twisted. I think that does help him. But at the end of the day, you got to put the ball in the back of the net. And like I said just earlier on, he does it very efficiently. I don't think there's probably, maybe you could talk about Harry Kane is an efficient goal scorer as well. But when you compare the two, Harry Kane and Haaland just looks levels above. And that just shows you how quality he is. Because for me, I don't like Tottenham, hate Tottenham, but I give Harry Kane a lot of credit. He's been in the Premier League for a number of years, and he's probably one of the best strikers the Premier League has seen. He puts the goal in, put the ball in the back of the net on occasions. He's pretty much dragged Spurs through for years and years and years. Otherwise, they're probably a mid-table team for me. And for him to make Harry Kane not really be spoke about, it's just literally, it just shows you what he's about as a player, man. And like I said, it's going to be scary. If he carries on the way he is, it looks like Alan Shearer's record. Everyone's going to be getting broken because what is he already? How many hat-tricks has he done this season so far? Is it 3, 4 hat-tricks already? It's crazy, man. You're losing count.
In all competitions, he's done like 5 or 6.
There we go, man. Do you know what I mean? Mental.
And do you know what's mad, Prems?
Mental.
You talk about Kane, and Kane's got 23 league goals, and no one knows about it.
This is what I'm saying.
He's already beaten last year's Golden Boot, Harry Kane, and no one's spoken about it. I'm sure it was 22 last year. Am I wrong? Something like that. But listen, it's mad what Haaland's doing, and 30 already with 8-9 games to go. It's absolutely mad. I think Shearer and Andy Cole both got 34, which is the record. So he's going to beat that, isn't he? So, man, this guy is absolutely nuts. It really is crazy. But just quickly on Rodri, or Premsy, I wanted to come to you with this, right? Because one of the best quotes in football I heard was about Sergio Busquets, and it was very, very similar with Gilberto Silva at Arsenal. People used to say, like, they don't see what he does, don't really get it. I was a bit like that with Rodri when he first come to City. I was a bit like, yeah, is he better than Fernandinho? Not for me. And then I went back to that quote, and the quote was, if you watch Sergio Busquets or Gilberto Silva, you'll understand how good they are in a game of football. But if you watch the game of football, you won't understand what they do. And it was such a good quote. And now that I've said that, you'll understand. Now that if you won't watch the game of football and just watch Rodri, nothing else, just watch him, you'll think, wow, what a player. And I think it's the same with Gilberto, with Sergio Busquets and others, to be fair. And he reminds me of that because I think he's absolutely pivotal. I think he's very, very key. And I think Hugh's right. I think that it would be hard to say that you'd take Partey or Casemiro over him because of his age, for one, but also because of how good he is and how great he's been in that system that works. Now, Partey's been immense this season for me, and I wouldn't swap him for the world. Casemiro, likewise, I'm sure Man United weren't. But you can't sit there and say, like Hugh said, it's a real hard thing to debate and start slating each other's midfielders because Rodri's also very, very good, man. So I think that just had to be mentioned and key because I think Gilberto in the title winning season was so pivotal for us, man. So key. And when we missed him, you really noticed how good he was, man.
Just a quick one on Rodri, though,
bro.
Dan. I think you're right. There's no disputing he's one of the best in his position in the world. You get me? The way he glues things together for Man City is quality. And I think one of the key factors that I think a lot of people forget, maybe they might not know it, but he's a very grounded player. When he joined Man City, he was living in student dorms, doing his university degree. He was on over 100 grand a week. He wasn't out there living in a big mansion, living a fantastic lifestyle. He was in a student accommodation, and that just shows you what kind of mentality he has as a player and where he wants to achieve and get to. And I think that is a big part of it as well. Daniel said there, Kane has no mentality in the comments as well. But this is it. Players' mentality is key. You got to think, look at Dele Alli now. It looks like Everton are looking to rip up his contract. A couple of seasons ago, he won Young Player of the Year. He was meant to be one of the best players in English football, playing for England. It just shows mentality is key. And I think the thing with Pep Guardiola is and I think it's a bit like Mikel Arteta as well now, they bring in players that have the right mentality to do well, have the right kind of ideas and not kind of jumping off the rails here and there. And I think with Rodri, you can see it in abundance, man. Not only technically is he quality on the pitch, he can score as well, he can defend, he can drive the ball forward. But look, like Hugh touched on, he was the first one to bring the players in a huddle and give them that composure and galvanize them to carry on and push on. So you got to give massive credit to Rodri, man. I agree with everything that you said, bro.
Yeah, man, it's facts. And Dele Alli, I mean, I'm going to say it now. I never got it anyway. I thought he was a good player when he come on the scene. He seemed to sit into a system. Pochettino got them absolutely flying. But I never saw him as a Gaza or a Rooney or a Saka or a Foden. I thought he was all right. I thought he was a good player. And now, look at him. He's an absolute mess, the guy. I don't get it. But anyway, not here to talk about Dele Alli. Let's talk about Arsenal. Hugh, when I talk about your thoughts, honest thoughts as well, like you might have a bit of bias with your City hat on, but if you have a football hat on, is that a good point for Arsenal, or is it 2 points dropped in your opinion at Anfield?
That's such a tough question. That's such a tough question because I fully appreciate. Trust me, I fully appreciate how hard it is to get anything at Anfield. Never mind a win. And you went there with the most pressure on your backs all season. You know, you've only got 3 or 4 games you're looking at where you're saying these are potential banana skins. The rest of them, on paper, you should be winning, and you still got a point. I mean, as everyone's saying, when the trophy's handed out to whoever it is at the end of the season, you may look back on that and say that was a point gained or was 2 points dropped considering the position you were in. But from our side of things, it's kind of like you've left the door open for us a little bit. The door for me was closing. Had you won that game, I think you had one hand on the trophy, and it would have been really hard for you to stop us, because the psychological boost you would have taken from winning that game possibly would have been a little bit too much for us to catch up on. But you've left the door open for us, and I think with the momentum we have right now and the way we're playing, it's a full hit out now. For me, it's 50-50. It's really hard to tell. You'll know a lot more about how much that game impacted you when you see the performance that you put in against West Ham on Sunday. I want to say it is. You're playing West Ham on Sunday.
Yes.
The reaction you get from your team on Sunday will tell you a huge amount about the impact that result had.
Yeah, I think it's facts. And Prems, I was with Turkish and I said, "What do you reckon, bro?" And we both were like, "I think we've dropped 2 points there, being 2-0 up." But then in the same sentence, or the sentence afterwards, I said Ramsdale's kept us in it and Salah missed a penalty. So I'm not so sure that it was 2 points dropped, because for me, I think we're lucky to hang on to anything by the end of it. Now, it's mad to think that in the last kick of the game, that Martinelli and Saka and Trossard image is going to haunt me for life. I don't know how we didn't get at least something on target through that chance. But for me, bro, you've got to look at it and say that could have been a hell of a lot worse, mate. And if we lose that game psychologically from being 2-0 up, I think that hurts us hard, man.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the fan base look at it one of two ways, and it either is 2 points dropped or 1 point gained. I'm more on the side of 1 point gained, because in my honest opinion, we should have lost that game. And that's the truth. Like you said, Ramsdale for me was man of the match. Salah missed the penalty. Kanate had the ball taken off the line. Salah just didn't have his shooting boots on. Even in that first half, he had an opportunity. Henderson had an opportunity. They had the more clean cut chances. But at the same time, I can get and understand why fans are disappointed that we were 2-0 up and we couldn't see the game out, because we have been efficient at managing games well this season. But what people need to understand is that football's a 90-minute match. Things happen in a game which changes momentum and switches momentum. And unfortunately, Anfield is being one of them grounds for us over the years. I think 2011, 12 is the last time we won there. So we don't really walk away with anything. So the way I'm trying to look at it is to be more positive on the side of things, because at the end of the day, in a title race, you're going to be dropping points. You're not going to go and steamroll every single team. You get me? There's going to be occasions where you're going to drop points. I still think City will drop points this season, and I still think Arsenal will drop points. But this is what a title race is. If you can't, you know what? Big Steve said this to me. If you can't win, if you're gonna lose the game, don't lose it. Draw the game. You get me? At least walk away with a point, because you don't
can't win,
at the end
don't
of the
lose.
season.
Yeah,
basically, we're gonna know if this point is beneficial towards the back end of the season, and when we've got 1-2 games to go in it. That's when we're gonna really know. But like I said, in my honest opinion, Dan, I thought we should have lost that game. And yeah, we did well to go there, show balls and character, and get the 2 goals. And yeah, we should have managed the game better, but we didn't. It's just what happened. So the point now, it puts us in a position where we can potentially draw at City, draw at Newcastle, and still win the league. Or if we lose at City and we both teams win remaining games, then obviously City win the title. So I don't think we can dwell on it too much. I think we've got to try to take the positives out of it. Like Man City have gone there, best team in the league over the last 4 or 5 years, couldn't get a result. United's gone there, being battered. All big teams have gone there this season and lost. At least we've walked away with a point better off on the board. Man City got a game in hand, but nothing says they're going to win that game. The probability is they will win the game, but it's football. Anything can happen, man.
Yeah, I think you're talking facts, bro. Hugh, let me come to you, man. What was you thinking when we went 2-0 up? Was, as a City fan, was you like, oh dear, this does not look good? Or was you like, it's calm?
Now, when over the years, when we would click into gear and just start winning game after game after game, I was like, Arsenal, they're doing that. They're doing that. They're going to Anfield and they're steamrolling Liverpool. Like, that first half an hour had champions written all over it for me. I was saying, Arsenal, they're going to win the league. They're going to go on and hit Liverpool for 4 or 5. I said to my bro sitting beside me, I was like, after the second went in, they're going to hit Liverpool in Anfield for 3 and 4. We couldn't do that in a full Anfield anyway. We beat them 4-1 in COVID times. But yeah, I was hit hard. But I knew things could change, but it needed to happen quick. Because if you went and got a third, then I was saying, yeah, I don't think Liverpool will catch them. But yeah, it was a mad game, really, really mad game, and it could be huge in the context of the title race. I think Premsy's right. Like, to go there in the context of the season where everybody else has failed and get a point is huge. But in the context of the stage of the season we're at and the title race, it could be a letdown. So it's in the balance entirely.
Yeah, I don't think we'll know what that point means or what those 2 points drop mean coming to the end of the season. But all I can say
like
is
I
this:
said, man, the last 2 games of the season, that's where you're going to know if it's a beneficial point
exactly,
or if you
exactly.
drop them 2 points. But then again, we can look at it swings and roundabouts. You can say the same thing about Brentford. If the linesman would have drew the lines, we would have been 2 points better off. It's just football. This is what happens, in my opinion. You get me? And look, Dan, like I said off air, what did we want as Arsenal fans to be involved in the title race? Now it's squeaky bum time. We're in that title race. We just got to hold our nerve, breathe the positivity out, man.
It's mad, isn't it? We wanted this, but this is nervy times, man. Wow, I can't remember how long ago it was. Like,
I know,
and do you
bro.
know what, Prems? It's different, right? Because we'd already done it under Wenger. And back 2004, I was like, this team have already won a title in 2002. They've won a title in 1998. I'm confident we're going to do it again. This time, this is all new, man. This manager's not won the league. The players ain't won the league. It's like, wow, this is tough, man. So, and we're going up against, in my opinion, the best team in the Premier League that we've seen in the last 4 years. I think that era of Man City is the best we've seen. It's better than United. It's definitely better than Liverpool and Chelsea for me. And it was better than us, in my opinion. And I will say that. I think it's just been crazy how good they've been consistently. But Hugh, before I come back to you, Prems, Hugh, I've got to ask you, man. Player that sometimes gets criticised by the neutral, not by the Arsenal fan base, is the reason we're walking away with anything, and that's Aaron Ramsdale. Bro, he was unreal. Absolutely immense. I wanted to get your thoughts on him because I said the other night that I thought that other than Alisson and Ederson, I can make an argument for. I'd say that he's the best goalkeeper in the league other than those two because I think everybody else, you can throw in names like Pope and you can throw in Emi Martinez if you want and David Raya this year. But for me, I think he's been outstanding, Hugh. I really do.
I think Ramsdale's a bad boy. I think he's a proper goalkeeper, and I love the personality. I know it grinds a lot of people's gears, but that's the kind of players that I like, you know, who loves a big occasion. I mean, the camera zoomed in on his face a couple of times throughout that Liverpool game, and he's there smiling and laughing while Arsenal are under pressure. He's like absorbing it, he's soaking it up, and I'm saying this is class. Am I breaking up there? Sorry.
No, you're all right.
Sorry, yeah. Listen, I think Ramsdale's class, and you said Alisson and Ederson. I know Ederson had a great performance against Bayern Munich, some absolutely massive saves, but I think over a long period of time now, I think Ramsdale's possibly a better shot stopper. I think Ederson's a better footballer, but I think Ramsdale's actually a better shot stopper. I think he'll come up with those photograph saves or whatever they're called, postcard saves, and Ederson doesn't do them too often. But I still wouldn't trade him because of what Ederson brings to our team. But yeah, Ramsdale's sick, man. I think he's top goalkeeper. Is that him or me?
No, that's definitely done. But look, do you know what as well with people whilst he comes back in, just to touch on the Ramsdale situation? I think he's surprised not just Arsenal fans. I think he surprised everyone. 2 relegations on the bounce. You'd think, that he's going to come in. It's going to take him time to get used to playing for a big club. There's going to be errors in him left, right, and centre. But there's not been no errors really from Ramsdale. He very hardly makes an error. He's good at distribution. Like you said, them saves that he makes, brilliant. I think David De Gea, for me, I'd say is the best shot stopper in the league. But Aaron Ramsdale isn't far off. You get me? And I think the way he riles up the crowd as well, something that you touched on, it's very rare you get that from goalkeepers. You get me? And his composure, bro, Ramsdale, all I know is I think most Arsenal fans have already apologized because when he was going to get signed, people were thinking £30 million on this guy. What is I don't even want to swear, but what the hell is Arteta doing? But look, man, he looks like he's proving everyone wrong and he's relishing the opportunity. For me, England number 1. Definitely has got to be England starter. Well better than Pickford. Pisses all over him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Apologies, guys. My Wi-Fi, I don't know what happened there. I could not hear. I was like, Hugh, over to you. And all I could hear was hit, hot, hit, up, and it just chucked me out. So I'm guessing you were big in Ramsdale up. But can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, you're back in.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's good, man. Listen, I think the guy deserves a hell of a lot more credit than what he's been given so far. I think he's kept us in amazing games. And Premsy, I don't know what you mentioned while I was out there, but you look back to the Villa game, you look back to the Bournemouth game, he made world-class saves before the Reece Nelson winner and the Jorginho winner. But
100%.
we're all talking about Jorginho and Reece Nelson for obvious reasons because they scored the winners. But actually, people are forgetting that they could have quite easily been draws if it weren't for Ramsdale. And I can think of 7 or 8 world-class saves in his 2 years at Arsenal, where you look at like David Seaman, Jens Lehmann, Alex Meninga, all the other goalkeepers we've had, they've had 7 or 8 world-class saves in their career. Do you know what I mean? So this guy has been a fantastic buy. Everyone laughed it. Jamie Carragher said in the Sky Sports studio how good he's been and how wrong he was about how, the signings. Everyone laughed at it. I weren't sure about it, but what I will say is I actually wanted him to let him wear the shirt before we start slating him. And since then, he's been amazing. Absolutely superb.
I think it's just more the money that he was coming in for, Dan. I think it's like the bit of like the Ben White situation when we spent 50 mil on Ben White and everyone was questioning it because obviously it is a risk spending that kind of money. But to be fair, he's coming. The Arsenal fans have believed in him pretty much from the first, second game when he's shown us what he can do. And I think now we're starting to get the plaudits from opposing fans, opposing pundits. I think they're starting to value what he does now, and it's coming to the forefront where I think pretty much all season the Arsenal fans, since he's put that shirt on, have understood what Ramsdale is going to be giving us to the team. And also he keeps the back four composed. He shouts at them. He gives them direction and organises them. Something we've not seen for a long time. We've had man like fucking Almunia in net. Do you know what I mean? And that wasn't clever. So Aaron Ramsdale, man, big up to himself, man, as well. And you know what? I got to give a shout out to Turner as well, because he's come in as a backup goalkeeper. And every time he comes in, apart from one mistake, I think it was against City maybe this season, but one mistake, he's been pretty solid as well. He's a good solid replacement to come in for Aaron Ramsdale.
You know what, with Ramsdale, I always felt the thing was coming off the back of, what was it, 2 or 3 relegations? I think it was always going to be a slow process for him to earn the respect of the footballing world. Obviously, you Arsenal fans, you're going to back your guy as soon as he comes in. You're not going to be against him. You want him to do well, so you're going to big him up. But it was always going to take time. Can a player who's had 3 relegations, can he grow into the demands and the expectations of playing for a huge club like Arsenal, who are quite clearly striving to get back to where they probably should be, and that's constantly challenging for success? Is he that guy? And I think at this point, he's done more than enough to prove that he is capable, more than capable, of playing at this level and playing for a top team. So I'm in full agreement, even as a City fan. Big up Aaron Ramsdale.
Fair play to you, man. Appreciate that. No, he has been quality and fair play. Another player who's been quality, Prems, I'll come to you with this one, is Saliba, and there's still no news on him, man. I have heard today there's rumours that he ain't trained again and he's going to be out for the West Ham game. I don't really like the sound of this, mate. I feel like they know that he's definitely needs some form of operational surgery potentially, but they just don't want to do it, that he can make some part of the season. I'm hoping that's not the case and that he just needs a couple of weeks to relax his back and he'll be cool. But I've heard so many different opinions, mate. But I want to ask you, does this worry you long term if he's going to be out? Because for me, Rob Holding coming in, as much as he's been good, I'm not so sure it's sustainable to the end of the season. But maybe I'm wrong. What's your thoughts, Brems?
No, definitely 100%. We're going to need Saliba in the team because, like you touched on, he's been one of our best players this season, especially for a young lad at a centre-back as well. Relishes the partnership with Gabriel, and he's got it all. You get me? He's composed on the ball. He's good in the air. He finds the spaces. It's just what we need. And I personally think that he might not be out for a large period of time. I think they're trying to maybe protect him and try to bring him back in for that Man City game, because that's going to be the big clash and that's going to be where we need a player like Saliba. But then again, say, for example, he doesn't play up until that moment and we throw him in there. Is he going to be fully fit to be playing in that kind of game? So it is worrying. Obviously, on social media, all sorts of news goes around saying that he's out for the season and they don't really want to tell the fans because they don't want the fans to start panicking and losing hope and belief. All I can say is Rob Holding, we got to put our hope into him. We got to believe in him. We've got to give him all the support we can, because up until we know what's happening with William Saliba, Dan, he's going to be our guy. And I think so far, he's done okay. He hasn't really done anything too wrong. Yeah, he might give a penalty away against Liverpool, but you could argue about that penalty decision, in my opinion. I think he's good in the air, Rob Holding, as well. And this is a different Rob Holding. And the reason I say that is because he's not around players like Koscielny, Squillaci, Mustafi, all these kind of guys. He's around now the likes of Gabriel, the likes of Ben White, Thomas Partey in front of him. There's a structure and organisation to this Arsenal team that he can just fit in and get support and help around him. So it is worrying without Saliba. I'm not going to lie, because we know what Saliba can offer, and Rob Holding is no Saliba. But we just got to deal the hand that we dealt. You know what I mean? And I think with Rob Holding, it's difficult. It is difficult. But the one thing I must say is, in that FA Cup game at the Etihad, where it was 1-1 at half time, he didn't put a foot wrong. Obviously, City scored that goal from that Tomiyasu error. But I think Rob Holding did very, very well up against Haaland. Although it being 45 minutes, he gave me some hope to say we could go to the Etihad and Rob Holding could do a job.
Yeah, Rob Holding against Palace and Leeds really impressed me. And then when he went to Anfield, I was always a little bit worried. But what I did say was that Rob Holding has got the first team around him. When Rob Holding has come into that side with Lokongas and Cedrics and Eddies and El Nenis, I'm thinking, yeah, he doesn't look too great. But actually, he's done well. And I think that if he was to stay in long term, then I'd like to see the Rob Holding around the first team than the Rob Holding that we've seen over the Europa League games and League Cup games in the past. But fair play. Hugh, that result, we've said we don't know that it will mean nothing come the end. But as a City fan, does it change your stance at all? Because I know that you think City are going to win the league, and fair play to you, back your boys. But does that give you a little bit more hope that perhaps those 2 points there have given that we've dropped has now given you a little bit of momentum and might affect us moving forward?
Yeah, 100%, absolutely. We've learned from over the years that the team that we're chasing, if it's been Liverpool obviously recently, whenever they've dropped points, it's almost like it's given us another kickstart, another motivation, another reason to want to chase you even harder. And I think we've been waiting for this moment, and the performances we've put in over recent weeks, Bayern Munich 3, Southampton 4, Liverpool 4, Burnley 6, Leipzig 7. It's like we're clicking into gear, and we're trying to put that bit of extra pressure on you to almost to force you to slip up. We're banging in 4, 5, 6, and 7. You better be on your game, or we're going to catch you, kind of thing. Obviously, I know there's a long way to go, but with the form we're in, I find it hard to see. I don't look at any fixture and go, I think that's a banana skin in the waiting anymore. I think this City team looks so on job, hungry, whatever way you want to look at it. But listen, it was a massive game. It was a massive moment in the ties that weekend. Us beating Southampton by 4 and you dropped points. I don't know. Yeah, it was mad.
It was, man. And what do you make of the people that say Man City has still got competitions, they've still got Champions League, FA Cup? Because my thought is this: I don't think the FA Cup's going to affect you too much, in my honest opinion. You've got Sheffield United, then you got the final. That's like it, right? But the Champions League, I think, could. Particularly, you're going to go through now. Real Madrid are going to go through. That's a big key game. Do you think that priorities could shift a bit, or do you fancy yourself to go for all three of those right to the end and go for that treble?
Priorities never change for Manchester City. They never have. As long as I'm following them under Pep Guardiola, it's always been every single trophy we're out to win, which is why I never agreed with Arsenal fans when they were saying, it's almost a blessing in disguise to be knocked out of the FA Cup. It's a blessing in disguise to be knocked out of the Europa League.
Agreed.
It's up to you, whatever way you look at it. I'm not going to give out to you for thinking a certain way, but from our experiences, I always loved playing twice a week. I love playing every 3 days, no matter the competition. I don't want to go from one game, whether you've won or lost, and have to wait a week and sit on that result and have to wait a week to get going again. This City team, anyway, they thrive off every 3 days. Game. Keep winning. And the performances get better off the back of that once we grow into it. We'll approach every single game like it's a final. Yeah, I'd like to think that we'll go through now in the Munich game. I'm going out to Germany on Tuesday for it, and my heart can rest a little bit more with the lead we have now. The Premier League game, we've got Leicester now on Saturday at home. They're the new manager. I'd still like to think with our current form that we should beat them. But with all due respect to Sheffield United, I'm looking at that game and saying that is an opportunity where we could bring in a Laporte, a Rico Lewis, a Calvin Phillips, a Cole Palmer, just to give some of the main dogs a bit of a rest and then bring them back for Premier League. I don't think priority will change. Pep Guardiola, the way he is, it's just full send every single competition and bring it right to the end. And that refers back to that I made in the middle of the season when he was holding some players back. De Bruyne, when he had a bit of an injury, didn't rush him back. Diaz had an injury, didn't rush him back. Other players picking up injuries, we never rush them back. Kyle Walker too. We give them almost too much time to recover so that they're fully fresh, brand new for this stage of the season when it matters the most. That's it, really.
Last question on this, man. Horrible question. I'm going to ask it anyway. Would you change the league and cup double for a Champions League this season?
No. Every year, Premier League, man. I say this all the time. If we win the Premier League every year to the day I die, and we never win a Champions League, I'll die a very, very happy man. A very, very happy man. Premier League for me is the best representation of how your season's gone. The Premier League is the best representation of who is the best team. There's no hiding in a 38 game campaign. There's no hiding, whether you like it or not. The Champions League, prestigious competition, big up to anybody who's won it. I fully respect that. It's not easy to win, but you can get an easy ride if you want. You can get a slightly easier ride if draws go your way. Premier League, there's nothing harder, particularly right now in the world, to win than the English Premier League. I'll take that every single time.
I love that, man. I
Just
can't
to
lie.
let you know,
Prem.
former Man City players just scored against United, so it's 2-1 now. So if you're thinking
Who
what
scored?
that was for, is it Navas?
Jesus
Oh,
Navas,
Jesus
yeah.
Navas. Has he scored? Has he? Wow.
Mm.
Didn't even know he's still playing. What's he like, 38?
He scored like 7 goals for us in this whole time.
Yeah, man, crazy. Oh well, hopefully that'll pin him back a little bit. Yeah, the reason I asked that is because Dap said this season he'd take the Champions League just this season, just because it feels like it needs to happen. It's like cursed. But fair play to you, because I've always said the Premier League's a ridiculously hard one because you've got to be consistent over 38 games. And if you think about it, winners of the Champions League over the last 10, 15 years, how many times have they actually been the best team in Europe? For me, they haven't. You know, it's a matter of times that you look at it and think they were lucky to kick Man City out, or they kick PSG out, or Real Madrid maybe. But other than that, I mean, I've seen Liverpool win it twice. I don't think were at times. Chelsea in 2012, Porto 2004. There was one year, wasn't there? One year someone crazy won it as well. So you look back and think,
Chelsea 2020, the year or 2021, the
there
year
you
they
go.
beat us in the final.
Another one. Chelsea.
I think
twice.
it's the stigma though as well, boys. I think with City as well, I think that's just the only thing people can throw at them. Oh, you haven't won the Champions League. That's why probably most City fans will not maybe think like you and like be on the side of Daps more and say we want the Champions League. But I think you're right here. I think go for the Premier League. It's the harder competition in my opinion, because as just Dan said, you have to be consistent for 38 games. And I think it's pretty inevitable that you will win the Champions League sooner rather than later anyway. You know what I mean? You've got the investment with your owners. You've got a great manager in Pep Guardiola who knows how to win the Champions League. I think it will happen. For me, I think it will be this year. I think if I think you could even win the treble this year, depending on what happens in the league.
I think if you win one, I think you win the other two. I honestly,
you know what it is with the Champions League, lads? It's I do want to win it, of course. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't want to win the Champions League, but it's more. I'm at the point where I am kind of thinking of that stigma. I'd love to just get the monkey off our back, get that hoodoo off us, so that when someone says, "Oh, you never won a European Cup, where's your European Cup?" I can say, "There it is," kind of thing. But I always get asked after we win the Premier League, and particularly after the last one, on the last day of the season last year, the Gundogan goal, to win it 3-2. People are like, "Oh, would you not trade? Surely you trade that for a Champions League trophy?" I say, "Are you mad? Are you mad?" The memories I have from that day, I stood on the pitch, and coincidentally, I hugged Zinchenko and Jesus both on the pitch, and they're both gone now. But I hugged both of them on the pitch after we'd won the league. I'm standing there in the center circle, the Etihad, going, "This is the best feeling I've ever had in my life." And people are saying, "You trade that for a Champions League?" No, absolutely not. And if you guys get to experience that this season with your club, like last day of the season, heroics, an Aguero type moment, something along those lines, you'll know exactly what I mean. There's no better feeling. There really isn't. And not a chance.
Well, if you do end up winning the Premier League, make sure you go and hug Haaland. Hopefully, he comes to us then next
James
season.
Redmond said the exact same thing. He was like, "Go and hug Haaland if you go and win it."
Yeah, man, I hear that. I hear that, and I haven't won a Champions League, so I wouldn't know what it's like.
Yeah, see, with us, Dan, I think it's a bit different. Like, I would rather win the Champions League because with us, we haven't got that financial backing
European
and that
heritage.
Yeah,
exactly.
where we know that sooner rather than later it's going to come. City have been in the competition, the latter parts of the competition, year in, year out. Sooner rather than later, it's going to happen for them. Where with us, it's a little bit different. Even though we haven't won a Premier League in 19 years, we've been in the Champions League for 20 odd years and we couldn't get over the line. So I think it's a little bit different for us. If I was a City fan, I'd probably think a little bit different. But yeah, man.
Yeah, and like we won the first cup and the Cup Winners' Cup. It's not really the same as winning the Champions League, is it? So like our European heritage is shocking, really. So we need to change that moving forward. But yeah, I'm with you. I think the Premier League is one you're wanting it. Everybody says that's the first one. If you're in the Champions League, that comes next, and the domestic cups after that. But no, fair play. Listen, Hugh, I want to ask you, bro. Moving forward, Man City and Arsenal's fixtures I think it's fair to say yours are probably just a little bit. I hate using the word easier because there's no easy game in the Premier League. But they favour you, in my opinion, and maybe you disagree. I think with Newcastle away, it's going to be tough for Arsenal. I think obviously the Etihad is tough. I still think Brighton at home is going to be difficult as well. So there are some tough ones. If we were to drop points at the Etihad, hopefully we don't lose, even if we draw there. And we would have to drop points elsewhere. Where do you see that happening as far as Arsenal are concerned? Because a lot of people are saying City going to win it, or Arsenal have to drop points in 2 games. So where are those 2 games going to be?
Are you talking about 2 games excluding the Etihad game against you?
No. So if we do, because everyone thinks Man City are going to take something off of Arsenal or the Etihad. So if they do and we get a draw, if you beat us, you can obviously go and win it. But if we draw that, where else do you see what I'm saying? Where else do you see Arsenal potentially slipping up?
That Newcastle game, of course, is the obvious one to look at because that it has a semi-Anfield vibe to it right now. Newcastle, St. James's Park, doesn't it? Like you don't go there and expect to get a result. I don't know. Maybe Man City legend Super Frank Lampard could get something for us to help us win the league. I mean, you know what it is, lads. With this stage of the season, I'm not really looking at both of our fixtures and saying, "Oh, we have an easier run in," or "They have an easier run in." Like no one expected us to drop points to West Ham on the second day of last season. All these games you're playing when the pressure is extremely high can be banana skins. Like no game is a foregone conclusion for you or for us. So even if we do beat you on the Etihad or in the Etihad on that day, I'm still not going, yeah, we should go on and win it. I've experienced this too many times now over the last 4 or 5 years. The twists and turns that April and particularly May bring you. Trust me, lads, get your heart pills ready or whatever it is you need because your blood pressure be through the fucking roof.
Yeah, it's mad, Premsy, in it because we haven't experienced this for a while. But I was speaking to Harry and Tom earlier, and I was basically trying to say that every single game in this Premier League is mad, and we have to now just forget about the Newcastle and Etihad and all that for now. Concentrate on what this next game because we might go and win at Etihad and we might go and win at St. James's Park, but slip up to Wolves and Brighton. Do you know what I mean? That would mean nothing. So for me, you have to take one game at a time. And what's also mad is if I was to say to you right now, Arsenal's fixtures are not Newcastle and Man City. They're Everton away and Southampton away. You go, I'll take that. We couldn't beat either of them away. We lost to Everton and we drew to Southampton. And if I was to say to Hugh, do you fancy playing Brighton away or do you want to swap it for Nottingham Forest away? You'd go, I'll take Forest, please. They couldn't beat them. So it's absolutely crazy that people are just expecting Man City and Arsenal to win all their games and it's just that Etihad that matters. I think there's a few more points dropped for both clubs, in my opinion. So I want to get your thoughts on that, Prems.
No, most definitely. Like when we started the stream, I said I don't think that's it. I think both Man City and Arsenal will definitely drop points this season because you've got to think there's a lot of teams this year that are fighting for their life in relegation.
Sorry. Is that true in the chat? 2-2.
Oh, shit. Yeah. I just got to look.
Shit, it is as well.
I've been trying to glance up, you get me? But obviously, because it's my time to talk. I missed that one. Thank you very much, Ed, for that.
Sorry, bro. I didn't want to interrupt, but I had to for that. 93rd minute equaliser.
I wonder if United fans are going to come out now and say they bottled it. Do you know what I mean? It's all mad. It's all mad. But no.
This is true. 2-2. I'm sorry. That is brilliant.
What a goal. Header crosses come in. You can't even see who it is. It's jumped. Oh, my days. Never guess who it's only gone off and deflected in by Harry Maguire. That's it.
Make it up.
He's getting it. Absolutely getting it. But Sevilla are no joke, man. They've got the absolute heritage in the Europa League. They win it more times than anyone else. Won't be surprised if they go on and get another goal. Oh, luckily.
It's not Old Trafford, this, right?
Yeah, the 6 minutes added time, though.
What, mate? I tell you what. The last thing I put in the group with the boys with Man United chatting, it was, you should walk this competition. They were like, yep. When they were 2-0 up, now it's 2-2. Can you imagine?
Difficult for them. But look, let's quickly go back onto the dropping of the points. I think, as I was just touching on, this year is different in the Premier League. You've got, I think, what is it, from like 12th, 13th downwards? It's like 4 points, 3 points that separate relegation. So every single team that going to come up against Arsenal or City, they're not just going to roll over and die. They're going to want to and need to get something from them games in order to try to get survival. So I think it will be a little bit different and it will be tougher. I think with the Newcastle situation, touching on that, I think they're going to be fighting for top 4. That's a difficult place to go anyway. We know what it's like. Dan, we was there last season. It wasn't good, you know what I mean?
No.
But again, the positive thing from that side is they can't really sit back like they did at the Emirates and try to just let us come onto them. They're going to have to play on the front foot, and it'll open up the game a bit where it'll give us some kind of room to get what we need to get out of the game. But I think City will drop points, and I think Arsenal will drop points. I think even if City beat us at the Etihad, the league's not over. I think when it gets to the last 2 games of the season, then we're going to really know which way the balance is in proper. I think City, as we speak, people would say are favourites because they got the know-how to get over the line in it, of where Arsenal haven't got the know-how. But look, funny things happen in football. You got to do it once in order for it to happen. So I think we've just got to strap ourselves in tight, Dan. You get me?
Man.
Have sweaty palms for the last couple of games. Like you said, get the pills out. I just hope for the best in it, because look, my boys have done me proud this season, man.
Yeah, we never expected this, man, did we? We never expected this. Like, I thought we might scrape in the top 4 and people would get excited because that's progress. But really, I wanted a title challenge. I didn't want to get in the top 4. That's nothing for me, man. I never used to pop champagne for coming 4th, man. I used to be frustrated that there was 3 people in front of us.
Finishing 8th twice in the season, bro. It was a mad thing. 4th was
embarrassing.
We were thinking, all right, sweet. But look, we were the 2 fans that were screaming it from get-go. Raise the standards. This is where we need to be. And now we're here and we're looking to win that title. Look, fans can't complain now, innit? Like me, you, people like us that want us to be in a title race. We've got nothing to complain about. We can only be proud of the boys, man.
Mate, we got what we asked for, man. 100%. I've got to say, like, Hugh, what fixtures before like the season ends do you look at and think, I don't know, man, I wouldn't like to bet my house on that one? Because I'm looking at the last game of the season against Brentford away and Brighton away. I think they could be fairly tough. They're 2 good sides this season, man.
Yeah, I haven't had a proper look at the May fixtures. I know we do have Brentford and Brighton away. They're probably the 2 big ones outside of our game against you. The rest of them are Everton, Goodison Park, with Chelsea at home. I'd like to think we'd win most of our home games. I'd like to think, but once again, you just never know. Goodison Park is a place, Sean Dyche fighting for their lives as well.
We lost there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. They drew with us in the Etihad way back in November or December, I think it was. So yeah, man, they're all tough. This is what we're saying, and I think we're in agreement. Like there's no game I'm looking at here saying it's foregone. That's guaranteed 3 points. And I think if you are looking at a game like that, you have the wrong attitude, man. You don't understand these title races.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Listen, last question before we wrap up. I'll ask both of you this. Is this title going to be one with game spare, Premsy, or do you think it's going to go down to the last one to the wire?
No, I think it's going to be going right down to the wire. I think it could be one of them situations, Man City, United, where United thought they win the title, City go and clinch the title. I think it could honestly be that kind of season this year. I think the way Arsenal have been playing, unbelievable. The way Man City have rejuvenated themselves, unbelievable. And like I said, at home, I bet us to beat anyone. Away from home this season, it's been outstanding from us. Man City, we've seen they can go on a run over previous seasons and just put the league to bed. So I think it'll go right until the wire. I think it hasn't gone this far now in order for one team to just fully capitulate and fall off. I think the hunger and determination from both sides is going to take it right down to the last day. Could potentially be the last 2 games, but I think it will definitely go down to the last day, in my opinion.
Hugh, are you the same, or do you think you can do it before then?
Oh, I'd love to, just for a change, just let us, like, can you guys just drop a few points between, like, lose to West Ham or something, give us a bit of breathing room or something, because I tell you what, these title races, man, they're putting grey hairs in my head. They genuinely are. I'm getting sick of them. I think it'll go down to the wire. I think, once again, I refer back to what I said earlier on about your game this Sunday. You put in a big performance against West Ham, kickstart yourselves again, shake off the woes from the Liverpool result. I think you'll take it all the way. I think we'll take it all the way. And yeah, I just have a bad feeling. Last day of the season, whoever gets it, I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be horrible, mate. Everyone wants to be in this position, but it's going to be horrible. I can't lie. Listen, we're gonna wrap it up there. Actually, we'll take quick predictions for the weekend. West Ham, Arsenal. What are you going for, Premsy?
I'm going to go 3-1. I think against West Ham, we've got a very good record against West Ham. And to be fair, we normally end up scoring 3 goals against them home and away. So I'm going 3-1 to the Arsenal, man. We need a good bounce back, good result. And the one thing the boys have shown us this season, when we drop a few points, they go on and they win the next couple of games. So 3-1 Arsenal.
Fair play, man. What about Man City, Leicester, Premsy? What are you going for that?
It's
It
crazy
is Leicester,
because
right? Leicester,
yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy because new manager bounce. I think is it Dean Smith they've hired now,
Yeah.
former Aston
And
Villa
John Terry,
manager.
mate. JT's, he's gone back to managing.
It's one of them situations where we've seen with Everton and Sean Dyche, you could get a new manager bounce. Is it away at Leicester or at the Etihad?
No, Eddie.
Yeah, you had.
Oh yeah, they got no chance. They got no chance. That's it. I'm gonna go welcome to Leicester 4-0 to Man City.
Fair play, man. I'm going 2-0 Arsenal, and I'm going to go 3-0 Man City. I think it'll be comfortable for Man City there. I don't see Leicester doing anything, if I'm honest with you. A new manager bounce and all that, but I don't see that. Hugh, you can see us out, man. What you going with? Arsenal, West Ham, and Leicester, Man City?
Your game's in Emirates, isn't it?
No, it's at West Ham.
Away.
Oh, okay. Right. That's tough, man. That's really tough. But as Premsy said, your team has come so far this season. They usually show good character and bounce back. I'd expect a pretty big performance. I'd expect your team to make some sort of a statement that we're not going anywhere just yet. That's what I'd expect from a team with good character. I'll say 2-1 Arsenal on Sunday, and with us against Leicester in our current form, 3-0.
Yeah, man, I think that's fair. I think it will be comfortable. Listen, big up Premsy, big up Hugh. Daps will be back next time. Big up both of you for coming on. And thank you all in the chat. Please make sure you smash a like on your way out and subscribe if you're new to the channel. We hit 8K last night, people. So big up everyone for that. Thank you so much for that, man. Massively appreciate that. And I appreciate that. Thanks, Prems and Hugh. Appreciate that. And everyone else for coming on, man. Absolute legend. There's been very humbling the amount of people that have been willing to come on and help us on this journey. So really appreciate that. Make sure you come follow these guys, man. Go over to Premsy TV. Go over to Premsy on socials. Likewise, go over to Hugh on. Is it City Extra? You're still doing Hugh, and then you do other stuff as well, right?
Yeah. So I'm full time with City Extra now. We're pushing for 75K at the minute, and then my personal channel, I'm just going to do non-City related football, general football talk. Might get some guests on as well, talk about all sorts of things. But yeah, I'm all over the place, really.
Legend, man, legend. Of course, you can follow Hugh over on City Extra, and you'll see him on the Big Six. Big up, people. We'll see you next time, and hopefully next time we speak, it will be going down to the wire even more. Take care. Peace.
See.